After watching this morning's guest, you judge if Horry County's probate court is in good hands. Meet the Honorable Deirdre Edmonds, coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Horry County Government and Justice Center in historic downtown Conway. We're focused on the Horry County Probate Court. And we're visiting with your Horry County Probate Judge, the Honorable Deirdre Edmonds. Good morning, Judge Edmonds. Thanks so much for getting in early on a Wednesday morning, a couple days after St. Patrick's Day.
Happy to be here.
Did y'all celebrate St. Patrick's Day?
We did. We always celebrate at my house.
I love it.
I have small children, so they enjoy the holidays.
Just getting green.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
A lot of green.
A lot happening here in the Government and Justice Center,
Yes.
Deirdre. And, of course, in the Horry County Probate Court, a lot of changes in the recent past and advances being made over your 5-year tenure here.
Yes, we continue to try to upgrade and improve the probate court so that we can better serve the people of our county.
Absolutely. How long have you've held this position? You now, I think, just completed your 5th year.
I just finished my 5th year, so I'm in my 2nd term as the probate court judge.
Okay, so those are 4-year terms.
4-year terms, and I have 3 years in my 2nd term left to complete, and hopefully we'll accomplish much in that 3 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just trying to prep for this morning's interview to see the extent of the addition of an associate, now a 2nd associate judge.
We now have a 2nd associate judge. I went to our county council a couple of years ago and told them that based upon the work in the probate court, we have a good bit of litigation in our county. We are such a growing county. More and more people are contesting estates and having legal issues that require judges' assistance. So
right.
They granted me the authority to hire a 2nd associate judge, and she has now been with us as of last week 1 year. So we have 2 associate judges in addition to myself.
And the 2 associate judges, are they housed here in Conway as well? Or
Yes, they are.
Okay,
yes, they are. We generally have our court here in the Judicial Center. We have 2 satellite offices,
right.
One in Little River and one in Surfside, but we don't have a courtroom at those locations. So whenever you have to appear in court for a formal proceeding, for a hearing, then you would come to the main courthouse in Conway.
No matter what, you have to be here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deirdre, do you mind if I call you Deirdre?
No, please.
Of course, you hear Your Honor pretty regularly.
We do hear that.
So
I like the informality of Deirdre.
Absolutely, particularly on a Wednesday morning. Are you originally from the area?
No, I'm originally from Aiken County.
Okay.
I've been in Horry County for about 21 years.
Right.
When I graduated from law school, I moved down here and began practicing law.
Okay, wow. Had you had something you specialized in prior to becoming Horry County's probate judge?
Well, a good bit of my practice involved probate administration, estate planning, a lot of estate planning, a lot of elder law, dealing with trust, wills, powers of attorney, and then just some general corporate and tax work.
Okay.
So
sure.
I focused on that area of the law.
Right, right. Anything you really loved about that? Were you dealing on a regular basis with elder clients or folks that were planning out their end of life?
Absolutely, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I represented people a lot in the estate planning area where I prepared their wills for them and counseled them about durable powers, living wills, healthcare powers. And then as I got more into the elder law, I dealt with people needing Medicaid qualification, special needs trust, planning for disability, things of that nature. So it was a real good fit when I decided to run for probate judge based on the experience I'd had in practicing law.
Absolutely. I think I saw after, was it 10 years of the Bellamy Law Firm that you joined Catherine Cook D'Angelo?
That's exactly right.
Focused, I guess, to a great degree on elder care.
Elder law
she does a lot
and
of
estate planning and probate. That was
right.
the primary focus of that firm.
What prompted you to actually step out and run for Horry County's probate judge? That's a big deal, running for office, particularly for judges running for office.
It's a very big deal, and it was something that I decided after I'd been with Catherine D'Angelo for a couple years that I felt like we needed to change in our probate court. In South Carolina, our probate judges are publicly elected by the people, and there's not a requirement that you have a law degree in order to be probate judge.
Is that right?
That's exactly right. And we had not, up until I ran and was elected, had someone with a legal degree as our probate judge.
In the history of probate judges in Horry County,
Horry
there had
County.
not been one?
That's right.
Oh, Lord.
That's right. And I felt like that we had grown to such an extent that we really needed someone with that legal background to be our probate judge. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, I decided to run for probate judge and try to bring that level of education and level of understanding in the practice of law to our probate court and elevate our court and make it more of a professional court with that type of background.
Mm-hmm. And of course, for folks who, where there hadn't been is there a real desire there to encourage, is education a big piece for the probate court's administration?
When you're dealing with these issues that come before the probate court, they are all legal issues.
Right.
And having a legal background helps the judge make the decision, understand the law. You've actually practiced the law. You've worked with the law. You're much more familiar with the law and how the legal rights of people and the parties set forth in our laws and in our case law comes into effect in each situation. So, we call it the practice of law, but you really get a lot of hands-on experience by doing that. And I felt that was something that we really needed in our probate court.
Deirdre, that seems so commonsensical. Why do you think it is that in the state it's not a requirement that you actually have a law license to be a probate judge? I mean, that's clearly an issue, and I know we've interviewed folks, I can't remember the name of the woman in Florence who had held that position.
Mm-hmm. Judge Stone?
Patsy Stone,
That's
exactly,
right.
on some Florence Little Theater items in the past, and clearly she held, much like some of your many predecessors, held the position and I'm sure held it very well.
That's right.
But why do you think that would not be a requirement?
Well, the probate judges have been elected in South Carolina for many, many years.
Right.
And there's been a lot of people that have resisted putting an educational requirement on an elected position in our state.
That's interesting.
And so there are some people who are really opposed to that, saying if it is an elected position that anybody can run for, you shouldn't require them to have a law degree. Now, there have been many bills introduced over the last 5 or 10 years trying to require some type of qualification.
Right.
And there's one pending now, and that bill that is in the legislature now requires that you have a law degree and at least 5 years experience practicing law. I don't know if it's going to pass or not.
Right.
I think it's unlikely.
Really?
And I think some counties would be hindered if you required someone to have a law degree. You have some very, very small counties in South Carolina. And I think they could have some difficulty finding someone with a law degree who's willing to be their probate judge just because of the size of the county. Many times the salary is based upon the size of the county population.
Sure.
And a lot of times you can find someone who could certainly make a lot more money in private practice than running for probate judge.
Could they make it similar to a solicitor's office where it's a multi-county position? Greg Henry will be with us later this week to highlight. And of course, he's the 15th Judicial Circuit solicitor of 2 counties to potentially help offset those costs a little bit.
I think they would have to certainly change the law if they were going to do that.
Right.
And I don't know if you could get that passed or not.
That
I think there would be a lot.
Yeah.
I think it would be tough.
The probate court is so important to be able to focus the issues on one county.
On one county.
The 46
and even though you have smaller courts, I mean, they are busy. They provide more hands-on through their probate judge with not as much staff as maybe I do.
Clearly, y'all were busy enough to justify getting not only one, but a second associate judge.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I mean, it was time for that because many of the larger counties in South Carolina have a second associate judge, and there are many things that only the judge can handle that we cannot delegate to our staff. And that was my reasoning for needing a second associate judge in our county.
That's tremendous, Deirdre. I saw something about your active participation in a voluntary pilot mediation program for probate courts. What prompted your involvement and share with viewers a little bit about exactly what that is?
Okay. Last year, our Supreme Court came out with an administrative order, and they adopted a pilot mediation program for the probate courts. Many other courts in our state, the circuit courts, the family courts, they have gone through a mediation program, and usually they adopt 1 or 2 counties initially and require those counties to participate. When they did this for the probate courts, they decided to leave it up to the individual judges. I believe maybe because we are elected and it's our discretion as to whether we want to participate in this. So this year, any probate courts in South Carolina that want to participate in the pilot mediation program can sign on to do that. And since we are such a large county, since we have more and more litigation going on every week in our court, it makes sense to allow people to participate in mediation to try to resolve their disputes rather than having to come and let it be left up to the judge to decide a resolution of their case, try to bring the parties together, let them mediate their dispute and settle it on their own terms. And I think it's being very successful. And we're going to try this for a year. At the end of the year, the Supreme Court will decide, based on the results of this voluntary pilot program, how to incorporate mediation in the probate courts.
That's tremendous.
It is tremendous. It allows people to direct the fate of their case.
And a critical need, yes.
It is a critical need. And one of the big benefits is you can do it at a much reduced cost than having to actually litigate your case.
Right.
You come together very early before you spend a lot of money on attorneys and discovery and delay, and you can get a resolution much quicker if you sit down with your parties, with your adversaries, and try to settle your dispute with an independent, neutral third party.
Right. Probably a lot of viewers interested, before we get much more into that and some other great questions we want to get into, and just exactly what is probate, but even before that, if a viewer needs to get off to work now or get family off to school, Deirdre, is there a good phone number for someone to call if they have some frequently asked questions they want to get into, or even is it the Horry County's website to visit? You
can visit our website, which is available through the Horry County government website.
Okay, horrycounty.org.
Right, or you can call us at 915-5370.
5370.
5370.
Okay. And clearly for the satellite offices, if they just want to pop by those offices, they're easy to find. One's down at the South Strand complex.
One's at the South Strand on Homestown Road,
right.
And the other is up on Highway 57 up in Little River.
Okay.
We have a probate satellite office in each of those locations,
right.
And at those satellite offices you can administer your estate, begin an estate administration, and you can have a marriage license application issued and picked up.
Okay. Deirdre, real quick, for folks who ask that question, what exactly is probate? What's probate for?
Probate is a method by which, after a person passes away, his or her assets are properly distributed to his or her heirs, whatever that person may own. So it's an administration of the property owned by a deceased person and making sure that it gets to the rightful people.
Okay.
In simplest terms, that's what it means.
Right. How long does it normally take to probate an estate? Is there a fixed period, or are there some that go, I assume, much longer than others?
Some do go much longer than others. A simple estate where there's not any contest, not any controversies, people coming into court arguing over things, may take as little as 2 or 3 months, or it may take as little as 9 or 10 months. We have in South Carolina an 8-month creditor's claim period. One of the things that we started doing a couple years ago, instead of having the personal representatives come in and we give them a notice that must be published in the newspaper, we now email that for them to their local newspaper. And so that stops them having to go down to the paper to do that, but it also ensures that we get it done timely.
Absolutely.
Once you publish that notice, there's 8 months generally in which creditors can file a claim against the estate. So many times you hear that 8-month period. And most estates are left open at least the 8-month period before we close them out.
Right.
We do have a procedure in South Carolina which is a very summary administration where everything is going to one person, and that person is your personal representative. They can actually close out their estate within a week or two or even a month of actually publishing the notice to the newspaper. Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned personal representative. That's something that surely comes up in estates on a regular basis.
It is.
Who exactly serves in that role? Is that determined by the decedent? Or?
Many times it is determined by the decedent if they have a last will and testament, and that is one of the big benefits of having a will.
Right.
A person in their last will and testament will name who is going to be their personal representative.
Sure.
I know you're familiar with the terms executor, executrix. We used to call them executors and executrixes. Now we call them personal representative. That's the person who's in charge of the administration of the estate after a person passes away.